hello, welcome. Come on in. Well, you join us today in a different room of Carol's house on account that the other room is like it's like an oven, basically.
Greenhouse.
Yeah.
The sun is in the back.
Yeah, it's too hot to be in there. In fact, still in the low 30s here today, but at least we've got some refreshing breeze coming through from behind the window. Until the sun comes around, that is. Then we go in the other room.
Right.
Well, we've had a really good week this week, with lots to really tell you. We are gradually getting over this horrible COVID thing. We're still stuck with this feeling of tiredness, but it is going, and thankfully we're almost back to normal, aren't we, Dal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
That's good.
So we have had, there's more about woohoo later on.
Oh, yeah.
We have had a fantastic week.
Yeah.
Last Sunday, it was Carol's birthday weekend, so I decided to treat her. So we went out to a priory, and there were no monks there. There were once, but there wasn't this time. And we had a beautiful meal.
They knew I was coming.
Very expensive meal. But it was lovely. It was lovely to go out, and then afterwards we sat in the gardens, didn't we?
Lovely, yeah.
Yep, there we go. And we had a nice relaxing afternoon. And then in the week we decided that we would go off to, as you saw from the start, we went off to the Pontypool and Blaenavon Railway.
Heritage, yeah.
Oh, Heritage Railway.
Yeah. What a word. Important.
Because it was discovered that my first cousin, my father's sister's elder daughter, works there. Yeah, I know, it was a real surprise to find that out, and I haven't seen her for over 60 years. Yeah, 60 years. So it was lovely to actually go and catch up, and we had a lovely time, didn't we, Dar?
Yeah, she's lovely. It was like long lost families, wasn't it? I was Davina.
Davina.
It was lovely.
And interestingly enough, when we walked into the station, Penny saw us, and the first thing she said was, "Hello, Carol."
I can't help that.
It's becoming the norm.
Sorry, Ian.
That's all right, no worries. Anyway, we've got a great vlog for you this week. We effect a rescue, then we have a crash, and then we turn up at a pub that's not doing any food.
Great.
So I think we'll get on with the vlog and we'll catch up with you at the end. So having left our overnight moorings at Shardlow, it's time to cruise on down the canal. Still a canal at this time, although I believe it is tidal, because here is a floodlock and we need to go through that. Fortunately, it's not shut, so past the moorings, and there's a little marina there on our port side, and we continue down and head towards the scariest lock of them all. It's not really scary, this is the very first lock on the Trent and Mersey Canal, or the last one for us. And as we exit out of this here lock, we are now on the River Trent. Well, to be precise, this is called Derwent Mouth. Now, I've got a few facts about this little bit for you. Derwent Mouth is a location on the River Trent, as I've said, and it forms the border between the English counties of Derbyshire and Leicestershire. And it's also influenced by the River Derwent. Right, now then, here's a bit of information that you may find interesting. coming into view is a bridge. This is called Long Horse Bridge. Now, it was originally a wooden bridge that crossed the Trent at Derwent Mouth to take the towpath across the river so that horses hauling the barges down the Trent and Mersey could continue along the southern bank of the Trent navigation, and of course vice versa. However, following a thaw in 1893, the bridge collapsed. Blocks of ice were carried down by the river and they shattered the supporting legs. Those bargees that were on the river and caught up in all this attempted to protect the bridge by adding heavy loads and by fending off the ice flows, but unfortunately this was not successful and the bridge gave way finally, and James Thompson ended up afloat on the ice and was washed downstream, although he later reached the riverbank unharmed. Following this incident, the wooden bridge was reconstructed. And today, here is the modern equivalent. So now we head on to the River Trent proper, and it's the third longest river in the UK. It starts on the southern edge of Biddulph Moor, I hope I've pronounced that right, and it flows through and drains the whole of the North Midlands. Now, as you can see, there is a barrage coming up on the left, which is stopping boats from going down there onto a weir. Now, when we came by, there hadn't been much rain, so there wasn't much of a pull, but you could notice a little bit of drag. So I dread to think what it was like when your boat, if you're coming down here and after a heavy rainstorm. Last week I teased you about another rescue attempt that we did, our second on Morning Star, and this is where it took place, but I'll let the walkie-talkies do the talking.
Drop the radio over the side. Drop the radio over the side, it's right in front of your boat. It floats. Keep an eye out for it, your bows just coming to it now. Washing it towards you.
It's just...
Oh, well done that man. Just keep hold of it.
this time Carol was with me when I was laying down across the stern of the boat, so no screams. Now we are coming towards Sawley Lock. Now after Sawley Lock we drop down again onto this here tidal section of the River Trent. I was a little bit nervous at this point. And then we were out onto the tidal section of the River Trent. I have to say I was not exactly very relaxed at this point. It's the first time I've been on a proper wide river. It was good that I had Steve and Chris with me, obviously, and Carol. We were just thankful we had experienced crews in front of us on their boat. I was also, because I've never done this section before, there is a junction coming up where we go a port to the River Earwash, which I could really do with at the moment. I could do with a good earwash, and then straight ahead you can carry on and go down to the Humber, I believe it is, which is the start of the River Trent. But we're going to hoik to starboard and we are going to leave this mighty river, and we are going to go onto the River Soar. In front of us is yet another weir, and as we turned around here now to starboard, this is where we actually join the River Soar at this point. And I know that there was a flow of the river towards the weir, and there was obviously some concern that going round we would get dragged down that way and have to come back up. But no, I managed it, and I have to say I was very pleased with myself. In this first section there are numerous linear moorings and little wharfs with boats on them, people living on them. It's quite a community here, all overshadowed by the wonderful cooling towers. I've got to say though, right from the start, there are some beautiful parts to this River Soar. This is not one of them. In fact, I much prefer many of the canals I've been on to the rivers. I'm definitely a canal man, not a river man. Soon we leave all the moorings behind us and we make a turn into starboard, which is a great time to have a cup of tea. It is also a good time to show you what a momentary lack in concentration can do to you and your boat, and we are talking seconds here. Now Carol brought me up my cup of tea or coffee and I grabbed hold of the mug, but in doing so took my eye off where the boat was going. And as you can see, well, I tell you what, you watch. Thankfully, no damage is done, just my pride. And then we find a lovely leaky lock. Leaky locks seem to be part and parcel of the River Soar. You'll pass many of them. So here are a few facts about the River Soar. The River Soar is rich in wildlife and has a thriving bird, fish and plant population. It was once notorious for its unusual pink colour. This was to do with the discharges of textile industries centred around Leicester. But it's now been restored to its natural state, and you can actually see the bottom of it at certain points. Timeline history, Thomas Skipworth of Coates obtained a grant from Charles I to make the River Soar portable for barges and boats, although this scheme was never completed, and it was not until 1794 the Leicester Canal was opened, making the Soar navigable for almost 40 miles. It was in 1931 that the whole stretch of the waterway from Norton Junction through to Leicester and on to Long Eaton was merged with the Grand Junction Canal to form the Grand Union Canal. It's interesting to think that before the late 1700s, the River Soar itself was too small and too shallow to allow navigation of barges. There are certainly stretches to the River Soar which are not only beautiful but very serene, and it does actually make you feel very calm. And here we are arriving in Zouch, or whatever you want to call it. Actually, if it was a T, it would be touch. So let's go with such. So here we arrive in the last lock of the day. Steve is already in there and awaiting my presence. But as we mentioned earlier, the locks themselves are very quite leaky, so it's very difficult to control a boat when you go in there and keep it against the side you want to. But we managed it. Both being seasoned mariners and all that sort of stuff.
Sorry about that, Ian.
This is the last one, isn't it? And you'll have a lovely big black roof there.
Carol, I think we'll have to mark these two. So that they're the ones that we use.
It's the third one.
It's the first and the third.
First and the third, yeah.
So after an excellent day's cruising, and are now well and truly on the River Soar, it's time to leave the last lock of the day and go and find a lovely mooring.
Right, get these paddles down, Chris. Yeah, I'm going to use the third one.
And we found one right outside a pub. Now this is an interesting one, this is. We chose the only pub on a day when there was no food. So, but we did find when we got into the pub for a desperately needed large glass of something, refreshment, they had big rolls in there filled with meat from their Sunday lunch menu. And I have to say, if the rolls are anything to go by, this is a pub to definitely go for Sunday lunch to. Well, that was great, wasn't it? I've got to say that there was no damage sustained to Morning Star. I was a little bit worried about the crash cover, but I'm pleased to say I got away with it this time. But it was an interesting little thing. I'm not a lover of rivers, I've decided. You come down this little river and you think, oh, this is all right, this is very nice, and then it goes big, and you're thinking, oh, heck. Didn't you? Yeah.
I liked it.
You liked it? I tell you what, I wouldn't like it if there was a lot of water around and the currents were running.
Yeah, the currents, yeah.
I can see why you stay off rivers when it's very, very wet and very, very strong currents. But evidently that wasn't the case for us, because there hadn't been rain for a long while. So we had a great time and it was very enjoyable. In fact, the River Soar I really enjoyed. You can have the Trent, you know. That's your gift from me. I'll stay on the River Soar. And apart from little isolated places, like Leicester, and the start of it, it's actually a very pretty river.
Mm.
And we enjoyed ourselves, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it then for this week. Thank you so much for watching, and if you've not already subscribed to the channel, please do press the subscribe button and give us the old thumbs up. That would be extremely kind of you. Thank you very much. We have got still no date for going back onto Morning Star, although we are going to make a visit in the next week or so.
Next week.
And we'll be doing an intro from Morning Star then when we get there, and we'll tell you a little bit more about why we've gone back. But it's all good. It's all good. Yep. We just got this boutique of flat clothes to bring back.
They already know that last week.
Oh, did they? All right.
But we got to stay a couple of nights, haven't we?
We're going to stay a couple of nights, yes.
And then come back again. 'Cause we're going in our car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're
That's
looking forward
different.
to that. All different. So you wonderful people, thank you for watching again. Please do look after yourself, keep yourself safe, and hopefully this heat that we've got in the UK, it will disperse soon and we'll all be able to breathe a lot easier.
Yeah.
And until next week then, it's keep safe, look after yourselves, and from me, Ian.
Carol. And I'm going to do the rain dance so it rains for us.
Ooh. I'm looking forward to this afternoon all of a sudden. Right. Have a good week, everybody. Bye.
Bye. I love you. Yeah.